Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today we're taking a truly fascinating source text, the legendary 504 absolutely essential words, and transforming a traditional vocabulary list into a dynamic, hands-on linguistic workshop right here in this explainer. If you've ever felt like your vocabulary practice was just endless, mind-numbing rote memorization, well, get ready to change your entire approach. Today, we're focusing specifically on Lesson 3 of the text to show you exactly how real mastery happens.
Okay, let's dive right into this. In the very first lesson, the authors dropped this incredible quote from Henry Ward Beecher. All words are pegs to hang ideas on. I absolutely love this because it elevates what we're doing from a simple vocab lesson to a much deeper philosophy of communication. You aren't just memorizing strings of letters to sound smart. You're actually building out a mental pegboard. The more pegs you have, the more complex, nuanced, and powerful ideas you can hold on to and share with the world.
But that brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? How do you actually make new words stick to that pegboard? We've all been there, staring at a dictionary definition, swearing we'll remember it, and then completely blanking the very next day. Today we're going to look at the exact contextual methodology this book uses to solve that specific problem.
Here's our roadmap for today's workshop. 1. Why vocabulary matters. 2. The Lesson 3 Toolkit. 3. Spotlight, words in action. And 4. The road to mastery.
Section 1, Why Vocabulary Matters, the foundation. So, why does the methodology in 504 absolutely essential words actually work when so many other workbooks just flat out fail?
It all comes down to this brilliantly structured three-step methodology outlined in the book's introduction. Context is absolutely everything here. The authors don't just hand you a word and walk away. Step 1, they introduce every single word in 3 different, highly engaging sample sentences. Step 2, they weave those exact same words into a brief article or story, forcing you to see them in a natural narrative. And finally, Step 3, you're tested with fill-in-the-blank exercises. You're basically encountering the word from multiple angles in a single sitting.
So the crucial point is right here. Repetition is a recognized road to mastery. Seeing a word once is literally never enough. In fact, a brilliant feature of this text is that they plant little asterisks next to words in the stories and sentences. If you see a word with an asterisk, it means it's a word you learned in a previous lesson. It's a built-in review system, making sure those pegs never fall out of your board.
Section 2, the Lesson 3 Toolkit, your 10 new pegs. It's time to open up the toolkit and treat Lesson 3 as a completely fresh set of tools. Here they are, your 10 essential words for Lesson 3. Take a quick scan. You might recognize some, you might even use a few of them daily, but the goal here is true mastery. We've got words ranging from typical and minimum to expensive and beau. To understand how the book wants us to absorb these, let's apply that 3-step methodology.
Section 3, Spotlight, words in action. Let's shine a spotlight on a few featured words from Lesson 3 and actually see them in action.
Our first featured tool is typical, which is defined simply as usual, of a kind. Simple enough, right? But remember, we don't stop at the definition. We need context.
Look at how the book locks in the meaning with this sample sentence. The horse ran its typical race, a slow start and a slower finish, and I lost my wager. Notice what the authors did there. They injected a little bit of storytelling energy and humor into the delivery. It's not a dry, boring sentence. It gives you a vivid mental image of a frustratingly slow horse, which makes the word typical instantly memorable. Now, what's truly fascinating is how universal this teaching method is. We've pulled this from a supplementary video lesson by a Korean educator analyzing this exact chapter. They translate typical to Jeonyeonjigan, but the core methodology remains identical. Even across languages, the instructor walks students through those exact same sentences to ensure the context translates just as seamlessly as the definition.
Let's move on to our second featured word, minimum. The definition is the least possible amount, the lowest amount.
To really ground this concept, the book provides a quick, real-world application. Congress has set a minimum wage for all workers. Instantly, your brain connects the abstract definition to a concrete, everyday reality. It's an economic peg that you can now hang all sorts of ideas on.
Our third featured word is expensive, meaning costly, high-priced. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, I already know what expensive means. But this is where the book really shines, taking a word you know and deepening your linguistic precision. At the end of the lesson, the authors provide a spotlight section exploring synonyms to help you grasp this exact nuance. Yes, expensive means costly or valuable, but when does it cross the line into the extreme? Well, that's when you use words like exorbitant, excessive, or immoderate. The book essentially trains you to know exactly when to use a slight variation for maximum impact.
To really test your retention, the book throws in visual quizzes. Notice this cartoon directly from the source material. We've got a couple staring in absolute shock at a car with an $18,000 price tag. Now, keeping in mind this book was originally published a few decades ago when 18 grand was a whole lot of money for a standard car, I want you to actively participate here. Which of our 10 Lesson 3 words does this depict?
Expensive, of course. It's a playful, slightly humorous way to engage visual learners and make sure the concepts aren't just staying on the page, but are actually taking root in your mind.
Section 4, the road to mastery, keeping your tools sharp. You've got your tools, you've seen them in action. How do you keep them sharp?
The introduction of the text lays out a highly actionable plan for independent study. Here's what they recommend to guarantee these words actually stick. First, read the sentences aloud. Don't just scan them with your eyes. Getting your mouth and ears involved completely reinforces the memory. Second, compose original sentences. This is where you actually use the peg yourself. Third, do the fill-in-the-blank exercises to test your recall under pressure. And finally, like we mentioned earlier, always watch for those asterisks. Every single time you see one, it's an opportunity to test if a past word has securely stayed on your mental pegboard.
We've unpacked the methodology, and we've explored the tools of Lesson 3. The true value of this source material isn't just in the words themselves, but in training you how to absorb language efficiently. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Look back at those 10 words from today's explainer. Which of these new pegs will you hang your next big idea on? Thanks for joining me, and keep building that vocabulary.